Hey everybody, welcome. This is Theology 510, Fundamental Theology, Faith and Revelation, Catholic Distance University. And you guys, some of you know me already. I teach the introductory course, the gateway course to the program now, and that's called Catholic Theological Tradition. I used to teach the old gateway program or course, and that was called Light of Faith. So if you had me in Light of Faith or in Catholic Theological Tradition, greetings. This course is going to be different, but I hope we have as much fun in this course as we did in those other two courses. What I want to do right now is just give you an orientation. This is really not part of the material of the course proper, but I just want to let you know what we're doing, why we're doing it, the method to my madness, and the way I've rewritten this course and put it together. First of all, I want you to know that fundamental theology is a passion of mine. I'll talk about it some more as we get into the meat of the course, but it's a passion because it really is fundamental. Bottom line, this course provides the ground rules or deals with the ground rules for theology. So if you get this right, you're liable to do great in theology and all your other disciplines, all the specific courses you take. If you don't get these principles down, you're going to mess up. And all the divisions in the church and the heresies really come from messing up with these principles, as well as messing up fundamentally in discipleship and spirituality. Spirituality is linked to theology. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But anyway, we're going to be covering the ground rules of theology. But in this curriculum, Catholic Distance University curriculum, we only have limited courses. And we have a special course in Christology, who Jesus is. You'll have an entire course in that. But we don't have a specific course in the theology of God and the Trinity. Now, the Trinity is the most fundamental of all doctrines. We have a hierarchy of truths. The Magisterium teaches us in Second Vatican Council and in the Catechism. In other words, not all truths are equally central. They're all equally true, but they're not all equally fundamental or central. So in this course, we're going to talk about God and the Trinity. That's the most fundamental doctrine. We're going to tack that on to fundamental theology proper. That'll be the last two lectures, the theology of God and the Trinity. Okay, I want to tell you the method to my madness here. First of all, I want you to walk away with knowledge that's really in your mind, that you can really articulate. So, we have two quizzes. And you'll find out, if you haven't found out already, I don't give multiple choice questions, because multiple choice questions are multiple guesses. And I really want you to know the material. So, I have fill-in-the-blank questions, which makes you recall and express an exact word or exact important phrase. That's why I have those questions. They're harder to grade with a computer grading system, but I do it anyway, because I think you'll learn more if you have to be tested that way. So we have two quizzes, a midterm quiz, we have a final quiz. We don't have a final exam because I don't want to do proctored exams. They cost you more, they're a pain in the neck, and they're not necessary because you're all honest and you all will, I'm sure, follow directions and not look at books when you have a closed book test. So I trust you. We're going to do just regular quizzes instead of proctored exams. Okay? I also want you to know that part of my goal for this course for you is to help you build a theological vocabulary. Theology has its own shop talk. It has technical terms that have developed over the centuries that you need to know. You'll read them in books. You may hear them in lectures, so you need to know them and understand them. However, you need to be able to translate them, because most of the people you'll be working with in the future in the church are not going to be master's level students or doctoral level students or fellow doctors. You're probably not going to become a PhD yourself. You're going to be dealing mainly with people in the pew, people who are in RCIA class, or people in the street, in your family, in conversation. If everyone's called to evangelization, you're going to have conversations with people. You need to be able to translate these high-powered words into normal language. I remember when I was a freshman, I was coming out of a rock and roll world, public high school. I'm a freshman in a Catholic seminary. And I was out taking a run one day on the beautiful seminary grounds, and there was a student priest who was also athletic. He was out running. I bumped into him. He was getting his PhD at Yale. I said, "Wow, a PhD at Yale. What are you studying?" And he said, "Hermeneutics." And I said, "Wow, that's deep." When you hear people say, wow, that's deep, it usually means I have no idea what you're talking about, you know? And we don't want you to be like that priest. He should have said to me, I'm studying the science of interpretation, the science of biblical interpretation, okay? That's what in everyday language hermeneutics means. All right, so I want you to know what hermeneutics is, but I want you to be able to explain it in everyday language. Therefore, the research project, the major project for this course is going to be for you to build your own theological glossary, where you take terms like hermeneutics, or like inspiration, or like Christology. You take these big technical words, you show me you understand them, but you show me also you can explain them. So you're writing a glossary for a generally educated person, not a theologian, someone in your parish, in such a way that he or she can understand it. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing as your main research project. So building your own technical vocabulary, the ability to translate that to ordinary people, that's a goal of the course. The second overall goal of the course, besides the content itself, is helping you build a theological library, a reference library that you can use for the rest of your life, not just your other courses, but for your future. One of the things that I've done to help you with this is I have uploaded a very long bibliography. That bibliography will be something you can use for the research project in this class. However, the main reason I have put that together is not for this class. It's for your future, for you to have it and be able to reference it, and be able to use it in future courses and future research and future reading for your own satisfaction. You never know what God's going to be calling you to do. When I first started, I had no idea I was going to end up a PhD and a professor. Fortunately, I saved all my bibliographies from all my great professors, as well as my course notes. So those bibliographies have helped me enormously down through the years. And they'll help you too, I think. So please download the bibliography. You're not going to have time to read a lot of that stuff, but download it, because if you just read it online in this course, 6 months after the course is over, you won't have access to it anymore. So make sure you download it. Here's the thing I want to also say about our texts. Many things are available online. That's great. But you really need to have some hard copy books. Maybe I'm just an old school guy, but I don't see how you can avoid having some really good reference books that you can refer to, paper copy in your hand, take notes from. So I'm going to really encourage you. Documents of Vatican II, you probably already have a copy, but just don't rely on looking through the documents online. Please make sure you have a collection. You purchase one. Also, the catechism. You can get that online, but please have a copy. There's another thing that's out of print, but you can get a copy, and I encourage you to do so. It's called The Christian Faith, Doctrinal Documents of the Catholic Church. Phenomenal resource. Great collection of doctrinal documents going back to the 1st century all the way through John Paul II. The last edition was done in 2001, I think. And that's the edition I'm recommending you look for. See if you can get a copy. I just got a copy used online, and you can do the same. So you have a PDF that I've given you a link to in your bibliography. So you do have it as a PDF, but I would encourage you to buy one. It's going to be a very useful thing out into the future. Frank Sheed's book, Theology and Sanity, is kind of a classic. That is a required text. Make sure you have a copy of that, at least a Kindle copy of it, because we're going to be working with it extensively when we come to the Trinity and the theology of God. Okay? I also want to say there's a 1-volume reference work that I require you to use in your glossary. It's called the Oxford Dictionary of the Christian Church. Now, it's not done by Catholics. It was an ecumenical venture really done by Anglicans in England. The great thing about Anglicans is they highly regard the fathers of the church and the tradition. But also they're in touch with the Protestant world. They're in touch with the evangelicals and the Reformed and the Lutherans. So this is a really great 1-volume work that I would recommend you have. It's out of print, so if you can get a used copy through Amazon or eBay, do it. You do need to reference it. If you don't get your own copy, you'll have to ask our librarian, Sister Rebecca Abel, to copy a few of the articles and send them to you as a PDF. She is willing to do that. Just don't wait until week 7 when your glossary is due. Okay? So, building a library. very important thing. That's one of the main goals of this course. And online, I just want to mention that here's some limitations to online research. Lots and lots and lots of great resources are not available online. A lot of the resources that are available online have been uploaded by very zealous people that love the Lord and love the church. However, many of them are outdated, many of them are not very scholarly, and you got to just be critical of your sources. The Catholic Encyclopedia Online, for example, the one that's free. Can you use it? Yes. Can you use it as one of your required sources in the glossary? No. Why? Because it's outdated. It was published, I think, in 1911, and therefore it's not taking into account in its articles the code of canon law that we have today, the documents of the Second Vatican Council, the great theological renewal that went on in the 20th century that led to the Council. So it's outmoded in many respects. So please be careful of using it. Instead, online, we have paid for a subscription at CDU for the new Catholic Encyclopedia. And that new encyclopedia is phenomenal. It was done at Catholic University beginning in the 60s. It's updated regularly. It has some great scholars who wrote the articles. Just keep in mind, any dictionary or any encyclopedia is only good as its authors are. And so you have a mixed bag. You have different authors writing different articles. So just keep that in mind. This one, the new Catholic Encyclopedia, which you can easily reference for free online, is particularly comprehensive and solid. So you're required to use that in your glossary. And my hope is that you will continue to make use of that out into the future. You can actually copy some of those articles and save them on a hard drive for a time when you don't have access online. Okay? So anyway, these are some of the important things about research. The New Catholic Encyclopedia, the CDU Library. Part of what we're doing in this course is I'm trying to get you familiar with what's out there, what's really good, so that out into the future you can continue to refer to those really good resources. Now, last thing I'm going to say is I'm really excited. It's springtime in Texas, my home in Dallas. That's where I'm recording this. It's Eastertide right now, and I love Easter. And I'm going to the Holy Land with CDU students in a week. So I just want to tell you that the other course that I do at CDU, besides Catholic Theological Tradition, is called the Fifth Gospel. The Holy Land has been called for the last couple hundred years the Fifth Gospel by many people, many scholars and popes, because it speaks and teaches us in a way that nothing else can besides the four Gospels, who Jesus was and is, what he has done. It puts us in touch with Mary and the apostles more than any other Marian shrine in the country. This is the original Marian apparition site, as well as the site of Ground Zero, our redemption. The Last Supper, the institution of the Eucharist, the death and resurrection of Jesus, the coming of the Holy Spirit, the beginning of the church, all these things right there in Jerusalem and Galilee. And so I actually take pilgrimages twice a year there, and I invite lots of people who are not CDU students, but CDU students are invited to come and take this as a course for credit. You have to write a paper, you have to do some reading in addition to coming on the pilgrimage, but our main discussion and class contact is just being on this pilgrimage. It's an exciting learning opportunity. Firsthand, you actually would get to know me and have live class interaction rather than just online, but you also meet some phenomenal priests, great, wonderful local Palestinian Catholic guides who connect us to the tradition of the people of the land going right back to the apostles. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, check into Theo 598, check into the times for the next couple of pilgrimages, and pray seriously about coming. I know it's an expense, but it is incomparable as a learning opportunity. So you can check that out, the actual dates and costs of the pilgrimage, on dritaly.com. That's dritaly.com. There's a pilgrimage tab at the top of every page. So that's our introduction to the course and just kind of housekeeping stuff. Let's get into the meat of the course of Fundamental Theology, Theology 510. Thanks.